Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we have not too much of a big plan here. So this is on a Saturday, and usually I have a lesson on the weekdays or weeknights. And so it was a very nice Saturday. I believe it was above 20 degrees outside. And so I decided that it was time to get Hazel into her tail bags. So the first step in order to put a tail bag on a horse is to have a clean tail, and then it's to braid it and then to put the tail bag. And then since I noticed she had quite a bit of dandruff on her mane, I decided to go ahead and do the tail and the mane and just get both of them clean. It is warm. It was pretty warm that day, but not warm enough to my satisfaction when it comes to washing or giving a bath for the whole body. So I just did like a spot cleaning here. So the tail was definitely my main concern, just to get the tail bag on. She was in heat. I believe it was 2 weeks prior to that. She just finished her heat period, so it was time to just get all of that clean, just because when the mare is in heat she does urinate quite a bit, and then it goes in the tail and it just gets really dirty. So I decided it was great time to do it. They usually, she doesn't go in heat during the winter. Their heat cycle doesn't go like all year long, so it's better to just get the heat cycle over with and then clean the tail real good and then start bagging it for the winter. So the soap that I am using for this segment of the video here is the Mist Equine Revitalizing shampoo bar or something like that. I will put a link at the top corner with the info button where you can find a bit more about the Mist Equine's product. I did do an unboxing video with it, and then I'll just explain to you a bit more about how kind of products that they have. So I use this one. This is my only shampoo that I have on hand, but it's not the best for tails. Like, it works great for the body because it's like a soap bar, so it's easy to kind of go ahead and just scrub the whole body. But when it comes to tail and mane, it's not the best. It's definitely easier if you have just liquid shampoo. So the next time I'll be washing your tail, I'll probably have some nice liquid shampoo that would definitely help to make the process better. So one of the issues that I'm having with the shampoo bar basically is that the tail is never wet enough for the bar to actually start foaming or creating suds. So it's just really hard to find that nice balance. But yeah, so what I end up doing is just rinsing, put a bit of shampoo, rinsing some more, putting a bit more shampoo, and then I had finally the tail wet enough to get the job done. Let me tell you, the tail was very dirty. So it's always good to give it a good cleanse. Make sure that all the debris is off of the tail. Obviously you want the urine to be out of the tail, and you want to keep it as clean as possible. Also make sure you clean the dock of the tail as well, just because they usually tend to kind of rub it in the winter when they get a lot of dead skin and dandruff and all that stuff. So you want to get all of that clean before we actually start putting heavy blankets on them. So same for the mane here. I noticed she had quite a bit of dandruff, and that's just caused by dust collecting in there and her rubbing her mane and things like that. So I decided it was a great time to just get both of them done before we can't bathe her. We can't bathe her anymore, just because this facility only has an outdoor shower. So I will show you in maybe a couple videos down the road how I do basically to have my horse clean and have a fresh skin over the winter, and then I'll show you all my winter care probably a little bit later, probably in December somewhere. So same issue I had with the shampoo bar on the tail, I had the same issue on the mane. Just to get the soap to kind of really set. But overall, it still did a great result. The hair was clean and shiny and supple, and it was great. Good thing is to really rinse everything real good, because you don't want to leave anything that could be an irritant to your horse and then create them to like create more rubbing action than needed. So usually what happens is if you leave a little bit of soap or shampoo, they'll start rubbing their tail on their walls, and they could like rub it raw, and you don't want like a bald spot on their tail. So it's really important to keep it like nice and rinse thoroughly. Since it was a great day outside and the sun was about to go down, I just decided it was a great idea to just get her to air dry a little bit. So I just went in her usual paddock, and we just started walking her a little bit, get her to relax, walk around, enjoy the sun, and it was a great moment. She did get a little bit spooked at a scarecrow in one of the trees there, but other than that, it was a great time, just, you know, doing something different. So I would say after maybe 15-20 minutes outside doing all kinds of circles and getting her to air dry a little bit, her tail was actually fully dried, and I just got some nice cowboy magic in there just to make sure we can detangle everything. It was fairly well detangled, and I'm using here a stiff kind of brush. It used to be one of my like dog grooming brushes for like some of the different like wire haired dogs, and I really like it for the mane and tail, just because it gives it a nice shine, and it's also not too harsh to kind of pull the hair out. So what you want to do is, since I don't really brush my horse's tail like really often, which is what's recommended when you're letting it grow, you really want to go ahead and separate every single hair. Sometimes they just tend to kind of just twist around one another, and then it creates like a little bit of a tangle, so you don't want to go ahead and rip it with a harsh brush. So what I do is I basically brush it, and then when I feel like there's some resistance at some spots, I'm just using my fingers to kind of open up all the little knots and twists and stuff like that in her tail, and that really helps to just get her tail well thoroughly brushed, and also give it a little bit more volume and see what she has. So as you will see, it just takes a moment to get the whole tail detangled. The more I brush, the better it gets. Honestly, there's just all kinds of little twists and tangles. It took me a good 20 minutes, to be honest, to just make sure that every single strand of hair was like detangled all the way from the roots to the end of it. And that's what you want. You want the horse's tail to be super clean and super well brushed, because that's how your horse's tail is going to be preserved inside the tail bag, which I'll show you in a moment how I actually like put it on and things like that. So once you're satisfied with how your tail looks and it's fully dried, fully cleaned, you will want to go ahead and braid the whole tail and then put a tail bag. So in maybe a couple of videos I'll just show you, maybe next week I'll actually show you how I tie the tail bag together with the tail. So once again, for those of you that are new, this is a good technique to preserve your tail. So it just preserves it clean and tangle free, and it doesn't drag on the ground, and it just protects it from the element, dust, urine, and all kinds of stuff. So it's really good to maintain a nice healthy tail. So my goal with this is to get Hazel's tail healthy and hopefully show ready for the spring. So it really helps to kind of give volume and all of that too, like to have very, very nice tails. So we've been working on this for the last 2 years. So last year I also put tail bags on her, and this is the second year that we're actually doing this. And I'm hoping I'm gonna have great results with it. So last year what it did for us, it really helped to kind of grow her tail out. So what happened is after they're done their racetrack career, sometimes they do have a lot of breakage in their tail just because of all the motion, the action, and all of that. And she did have like a fairly, not a short tail, but you can see there was like 2 different lengths in her tail when I got her. She had like the good majority of the tail that was actually fairly short, and then the rest of it was just strands of like longer tail hair that was just trying to get the tail to grow out. And by putting a braid and bagging it, the weight of the braid really helps to kind of get more length out of your tail, and also by the fact of just bundling it all together, it really helps to not have any of the hair just snag or get tied to things. And so it's really important to just keep it all in the tail bag and to change it at least once a week. So that's my regimen to just get a nice tail in the spring. So for those of you that were actually wondering why I do tail bags in the fall, winter, and not in the summer, it's just because the tail of a horse is definitely more active in the summer. They do have to shoo the flies away, and that creates a lot of motion, action, and that more action they have with the tail, the more it gets tangled. So I find winter is the best season to grow a tail, just because, one, the tail is not as active for the flies. There's literally no fly. And the second thing is that she'll have a blanket that will like basically cover most of her tailbone anyhow, and that will really help with the rubbing and preserving the top part of the tail. Once she was fully dry, it was time for us to practice a little bit what we worked on during the lesson the week prior. So in this particular practice, if you will, I worked on the mounting block with her because we still had a lot of issues with the mounting block, and I also worked on her canter a little bit. There's definitely a little bit more action required from my part to get an actual good canter. She tends to cut her circles a lot, especially when she goes counterclockwise. But that is just normal. We're still learning. We're just trying to get her to have a good canter, and eventually we'll get her to relax in the canter, and then we can collect her canter a little bit more. So that's what I worked on in this particular practice. So here you have the warm-up a little bit. So I'm working on her straightness while I'm actually getting her to warm up a little bit. Just prior to this little segment of the video, I was actually on my horse already, and I had her nice, like a nice warm-up period, but I forgot the camera in my pocket, and therefore I had to get back on the ground to put it up for you guys so you can see what we're doing. So here we're doing just some like nice straightness exercise here. I try to keep her off the wall if I'm doing that, and I'm also working on her rhythm. She is a little bit forward, like she was a little bit forward always ready to go. For those of you that have been following us for a little bit, you will notice that our head carriage is actually 100% better. It's definitely like closer to the ideal here. My reins are actually fairly short, which is actually good because she does allow some bend in her neck, which makes it a little bit easier for me like to ride her. It's not as much as like riding a like wild giraffe or whatever, so it really helps to have it like that. And here we have a nice canter. I got her to actually pick up the canter on the right lead, and it was actually really good. It does lack a little bit of control when I'm trying to push her off my leg, but we're still working on that, and I'm really happy with what she actually did for us here. So here working again on her pace, her head carriage is like 200% better. So I'm just having a little bit of fun, just doing some circles, seeing exactly what I feel, and I'm actually asking of her to just collect a little bit more and move off my legs a little bit more, which she's doing really well. So I'm actually really pleased with this overall practice. Some of the things we don't 100% yet, but at least there's a good try. So I was still working on my trot canter transition. She did pick up the wrong lead for maybe 2 strides, and then I brought her back to a trot, and then got her to pick up the right lead. So the thing with me is that I don't get her to bend enough, and that doesn't help her to pick up the right canter lead. That's something I'm really working on. Other than that, like, she's trying her hardest. She's really doing like as good as she could be doing, but I have to just get a little bit better in my timing here when I ask for a canter. So her straightness is not 100% there. She does, as you can see, like go on one side and the other. It's definitely something new that we just added, and so we have to work hard and just get her to stay as straight as possible. We've been going in circles for the last 2 months, getting her to work on her rhythm, so it's a fair deal that we have to kind of work on that. But other than that, she did really well. I am overall really impressed with how smooth the transitions are getting. So here we're trying to pick up a canter, which we actually eventually did, and it was a very smooth canter, but I had a hard time bringing her outwards, so the circle kept on becoming tighter and tighter. So that was one of the things I had a hard time with. Now that I had a few lessons after this actual filming of this video here, now I know that I have to basically use my outside rein a little bit more to get a better control on the shape of my circles. So for the last few minutes of this video, I basically had some fun, did some figure eights, tried to just change the lead, just do a little couple of few things. Sometimes I also try to memorize some questions that I might have for my coach, test different things and see what works and what doesn't, and then I can just bring all of that up in my next lessons here. So I'm just having fun here and just testing my horse a little bit as I am actually getting ready to cool her down. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It wasn't that long of a video when it comes to riding, but I definitely did just a half an hour session. Hazel was actually, she worked really hard and really great that week. So I was really happy with her work, and that's her reward. She doesn't have to have an extra long workout session afterwards. So I'll see you guys next week. Bye!